everyone. My name is Marc Wong, as I said. I'm the founder of TeenTechSF and the TeenTech Global Chair. And the goal of these two organizations is to be 1,000 teens on a mission to innovate, collaborate, and create for a better world. But today I'm here to talk to you about disrupting learning. So since math's my favorite subject, I thought we should look at some numbers first. American teenagers spend more waking hours on education than any other activity. On average, we will have spent 11,480 hours on education by the time we graduate. But what's the result of all this time that we spend at school? After 11,480 hours of school, in 2 generations, America has dropped from having the most high school graduates in the world to being 22nd out of only 27 countries. American students are 14th in reading, 17th in sciences, and a dismal 25th in math. 75% of American students are not college ready in the core subjects of reading, writing, math, and science when they complete high school. We need to radically rethink the education system in the United States. Our school system is getting a failing grade. Recent media praises the chalk and talk approach, which is mainly used in countries in Asia. This traditional approach results in great test scores, but fails to prepare students to solve real-world problems. Larry Wong, an international management recruitment specialist, describes the shortcomings of this approach. Students can memorize things like crazy, and they're great at book learning, but when it comes to unstructured, undefined situations where they need to think outside the box, and there is no right or wrong answer, only a better answer or a much better answer, then they don't do as well. Instead of copying what other countries are doing to try to regain the top ranking in education, America needs to do what we do best, innovate. USC professor Henry Jenkins makes the following observation about homework versus video games. The worst thing I think a kid can say about homework is that it's too hard. The worst thing a kid can say about a game is that it's too easy. Why do more difficult challenges in video games produce excitement and more difficult challenges in schoolwork produce frustration? So here's my big idea. What if we made school more like a video game? How can we use game design concepts to make school as exciting as a video game? Here are 5 basic principles of game design. First, learn by doing, instant feedback loop, multiple players, multiple levels, free downloads, and flow. And I'm going to talk about all of these and how they could apply to education. Principle number 1, if school were a video game, you would learn by doing. Games put you right into the action from the very first level. Who's heard of a video game with instructions? You just start playing and explore as you go. This is very different from in school, where students spend most of their time listening to their teachers and very little time trying to figure things out on their own. Video games are a unique form of entertainment. Let's listen to comedian Darryl O'Brien explain the difference between a video game and a book.
Video games do a thing that no other industry does. You cannot be bad at watching a movie. You cannot be bad at listening to an album. But you can be bad at playing a video game, and the video game will punish you and deny you access to the rest of the video game. No other art form does this. You've never been reading a book, and 3 chapters in, the book has gone, what are the major themes of the book so far? And you've gone, well, I don't know what. For fuck's sake!
So he provides a humorous perspective, but the instant feedback loop of video games that he illustrated is an important aspect of learning. So if school were a video game, students would have an instant feedback loop. Video games aren't that complicated. When you make a mistake, you die. You're responsible for your own learning. There's no grade inflation or waiting for teachers to return tests or papers. When you fail, you start over, but you can start over as many times as you want to. Video games make you earn to learn. You want to get better, because if you don't, you can't make it to the next level. Mastering the challenge is itself the reward. The key to good game design is adaptive learning. Challenges can't be too easy, too hard, or too easy. In a really good game, you'll try anything to get to the next level, and you'll succeed, but just barely. The third principle is, if school were a video game, there would be multiple players and multiple levels. You'd be grouped by ability, not age. You'd go as far and as fast as you wanted to. Part of the fun of video games is competing with your friends in a healthy way. There wouldn't be only one right way of doing things. Students would be encouraged to find their own unique solutions and learn from others who do things differently. Who hasn't felt the secret thrill of figuring out how to do something differently in a game and wiping out the rest of the competition? Innovation would be rewarded. There would be no shame in failing because you'd have the appropriate challenges, and with hard work and ingenuity, you'd eventually be able to succeed. The fourth principle is, if school were a video game, you'd get free downloads. Right now, Stanford, MIT, Harvard, Yale, Coursera, and Udacity all offer online courses for free. Through the wonders of the internet and asynchronous learning, each classroom can now hold 1 million students, and teachers can be available 24 hours a day. So that's it, problem solved, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. One of the big problems with MOOCs, or massive open online courses, is that the failure rate can be as high as 90%. You can give everyone equal access to the top university courses, but this is still setting up an educational system that caters to very few at the top of the academic pyramid. Recently, Governor Brown has been encouraging Udacity to provide curriculum for a broad range of students and on many diverse topics. I think it's a pretty smart idea because instead of just catering to the top percent, who will probably attend these elite institutions anyways, you can have a much greater impact by addressing the needs of many more students. In the world of video games, no one starts at the top. Everyone chooses the game they're most interested in and works their way up. Finally, the concept of flow. In this chart, we can kind of see how flow works and when it's obtained. The key to success in video game design rests on this very concept. Psychologists and game designers define a state of flow as a feeling of being in the zone, when you feel so totally absorbed in accomplishing a task that you don't notice anything else outside your concentration on the game. You have a feeling of euphoria and are functioning at full creative and intellectual potential. Don't you wish this was the way you felt about school? The secret of flow is balancing challenge and skill. Flow exists in the sweet spot between complete frustration and total boredom. It's the highest level of challenge that your skill level will allow you to meet. You are engaged to the maximum of your potential. Meeting the challenge becomes the reward. This is the difference between working for an extrinsic reward, like a grade from a teacher, and an intrinsic reward, like knowing that you're the best player on the planet. Flow was originally studied in the context of what makes individuals happy. Naturally, there's a TEDx video on the originator of this idea, and which you can watch online to find out more about what he thinks. He contends that the key to living a happy life is when people are highly engaged in tasks that challenge them to the exhilarating limits of their skill, but not frustratingly beyond them. When this magic combination occurs, people enter the joyful state of flow. Genova Chen applied these principles to game design. If we could apply these principles to reimagining the educational system, instead of looking back to make sure that we're not leaving any students behind, we could instead look ahead to maximize the engagement and unleash the full creative potential of all students, putting everyone, not just gamers, in a state of flow. Now that we've discussed some of the more theoretical aspects of game design and education, I'd like to show a quick 3-minute video about how we apply some of these principles at International High School every day, and you might see some familiar faces. Third graders use Poploid to make their own textbooks, researching and mapping information in the way that makes the most sense to them.
All your starting little popples here, which lead up from a pelican. And then those popples sometimes have like little sequels that aren't as important. So that's kind of how you know which ones are important.
Either you have tutors who teach one kid at a time, and economically it's impossible, or you have groups of kids together, which are different and it's very hard to manage. Technology is changing all that.
Ninth graders use Edmodo to create an interactive learning community that lets them connect and share information the same way that social media does.
My classmates have kind of described this app as Facebook for homework and school. Basically what it provides is easy access to all information and documents. It also allows easy communication between both classmates and teacher, or even both at the same time.
A lot of teachers are posting a lot of their lectures on YouTube, and a lot of people will be able to watch these videos anytime and also be able to pause their teacher if they don't understand something, or they have to, or if they want to have the teacher repeat something.
The club with the most participation at our school doesn't meet in a classroom. TeenTechSF's primary communication platform is Facebook. TeenTechSF is an online club, which means we can meet anytime, anywhere, and anyone can be a member. We can live stream TeenTechSF events around the world in multiple languages. High schoolers use Coursera to take online classes like this Python programming course.
I mean, it's staggering the amount of resources that you can find. The schools and the educator's role is shifting from the deliverer of that information to the coach of how do you make sense of all this information and how do you make links between the information.
But education is more complicated than playing a video game. Technology can never replace teachers.
This teacher-student relationship is a really important one to helping students develop a love of learning. But technology is just a tool.
It's not a human being that you can communicate with and you can have people explain it to you.
The most important thing about technology is what it allows us to do, how it allows us to get to the next level.
One additional element that this video addresses at the very end is the critical interaction between the teacher and the student. In the original research on flow, the researcher observed that the flow state involves a certain amount of isolation. Individuals are so absorbed that they're actually unaware of their surroundings. We all know that collaboration plays an important factor in innovation, so I'd like to end my talk not with a static set of directives for success, but rather with a question about what I think is the most promising new direction to explore. How can we integrate collaboration into the flow state? There are no easy answers, and there also isn't any right answer. It's senior year for me, and I just finished taking SATs this morning, but let's all remember that life cannot be reduced to a multiple choice test. There are always diverse paths to happiness and success. So thanks for listening to me and this idea that I think is worth sharing.